Eiyuden Chronicle Rising has arrived. So we finally got our first taste of the overarching Eiyuden Chronicle universe that is being created with this prequel game. And this prequel game, for some of you that don't know, it was supposed to be meant as just like a farming simulator initially when it was announced. So I wasn't really excited for it at all. And then it morphed into this action RPG experience. So from that alone, based off of what we as backers for the Kickstarter were initially promised to what we got, I'm very happy because I wasn't really looking forward to the other game at all. But is this game perfect? No. It's very much a budget title. It's a budget experience. It's meant as kind of a backer reward for the Kickstarter, but I still did have some fun. But yes, it did have some issues. And I mostly want to focus on the positive aspects of this game because I have a lot invested in Eiyuden Chronicle because I am a Kickstarter backer and I'm a huge Suikoden fan, which these games are a spiritual successor of. So let's get to the bad stuff really quick to get it out of the way. This game is full of fetch quests. Some of them are obviously padding. You can literally go from one screen back to another screen in a handful of moments to complete some quests. So they're obviously filler to make the game seem longer. There's a ton of backtracking. You're constantly going back and forth between areas you've already visited to complete fetch quests once again. And an argument can be made that the combat was way too easy, especially if you did all the side quests and extra content as you were progressing through the game. And that's most of the bad stuff, I would say, by and large. But I do just quickly want to say that if you weren't a Suikoden or Eiyuden Chronicle fan, or if you weren't interested in getting to know the characters and lore of this world, I probably wouldn't recommend the game to you. I would say there's probably other things worth your time and money to go play, but I'm obviously a Suikoden fan and invested in Eiyuden Chronicle's success. So this game was very much made for me. So I got a lot out of it. So I think that's more where I'm going to be focusing my review on, is for fans of both franchises. And I will obviously touch on other things that I think are objectively good too. But I did want to get that bad stuff out of the way just so you know what you're in for if you don't really know anything about either series. Now let's get to some of the good stuff. So how the game looked. Loved the backgrounds in this title. I thought they were really detailed and lush, and they had a great sense of depth to them. And I liked the contrast they had with how the characters look. They almost kind of had that paper feeling to them almost. And because of that combination, the game almost had like a pop-out or a pop-up storybook feel. You know, those books you'd open and then the castle would come out and you'd have trees and all that stuff when you were a kid. That's very much the vibe I got for it, and I was totally digging it. Another thing with the graphics that I really enjoyed was just the use of color, particularly when you were going through some of the different lighting that some of the environments offered, and the character art in it of itself and the character design I really liked too. Junko Kawano, the main character artist for this game, I think her debut was with Suikoden 1, and her art has come such a long way since that title. You can obviously see her progression as an artist, and she's doing a really good job. I liked all the characters in this game, and we'll be seeing them in the sequel game, I'm sure. And speaking of the characters, all their personalities were good. I liked all their interactions with one another. Everyone was really likable, particularly CJ, our main character. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what the writers and Junko Kawano can do with a cast of over 110 characters. Like, this little batch of characters has me very excited for the main cast when we see their debut. Combat is super simple. You'll stomp through absolutely everything that gets in your way, bosses included, particularly if you once again do all the side content. But there was still fun to be had in combat. I found it enjoyable enough that I wasn't getting bored with it. With combat, I liked switching between Kangaroo and Isha and CJ because they had different abilities that you could upgrade via the weapon chops and stuff. So they definitely had a unique feel to all of them. The only problem was that CJ, I ended up using her a lot more because she attacked quickly and she could just traverse through the maps so much more efficiently, particularly with her double jump. She could kind of like clasp onto ledges and propel herself upwards. So I was using her more than anyone else. But when it came to combat and switching everyone in and out, I was doing that quite a bit. And I was liking equipping the different elemental runes and seeing how that was affecting a character's attack abilities, particularly when it came to Isha, because it would straight up give her different magic spells to use. So I did enjoy some of the variety there. And I love how they let us name our weapons in this game and change their names, because that was such a thing in Suikoden. Everyone had a named weapon that you would upgrade, and as you upgraded it, the weapon's name would change. So that was such an awesome throwback, and there was even an NPC walking around named Jean. For all of you Suikoden fans, you always remember Jean from the mainline game. She appeared in every one. So I feel like that was no accident as well, particularly since it was a good-looking lady, just like she was. And for the story, even though it was fairly light for most of the game in terms of how I felt about it, it wasn't until like the last third when all the character motivations are coming to light, the politicking starting, you're getting a better sense of what the conspiracy is all about, how it's going to affect the mainline game, and what characters will be appearing in the next game. That's when I was really getting into the story. But even before that, I was just enjoying getting to know Eiyuden Chronicle's world, its lore, how some of its factions relate to one another. That I was really digging, because I'm very much the type that eats that stuff up. And I was invested because now I know going into the mainline game, I'm going to know all these characters already and lore. And when this stuff inevitably comes up again, I'm just going to get so much more out of it. And I'm going to remember this game and playing through it. And I'll remember all the callbacks. I love that kind of thing. And if you love that kind of thing too, then I would definitely recommend you play this before the main game, if you're at all interested in it. So while I did enjoy the story, I can recognize it's not going to win any RPG awards for great writing or narrative or anything like that. This isn't the type of game that was meant to do something like that. It was very much meant as the appetizer to the main course. It's the best way to look at this game, I think. But all in all, for a companion game that I had very little hope for, I am walking away from this experience quite pleased. It's an imperfect experience, but I still think it's a step in the right direction. And this game could have been abysmal and just shattered any and all hype for the mainline game if it was terrible. Maybe not shattered it completely, but definitely put a bit of a dark cloud over it. And I don't think this game does that. I think it just did what it was meant to do, and it was just to whet everyone's appetite that little bit. So no, all of you that have finished this game, let me know what you think. What are you excited about for Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes when it finally releases? Are you hoping that they might do another action RPG in the Eiyuden Chronicle universe down the line as well, maybe with a bit more of a budget? Definitely let me know in the comments, and hey, I'll always be here with more Eiyuden Chronicle news as always. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.